Welcome back to the Red Pride Thundercast. And in today's episode, we have a big episode. We will talk about the PHS baseball and of course, other baseball. Changes to the playing field gym, softball, the IHSA reclassifications updates, the Thunder Zone coverage, and of course, to round it out, we will talk about the PHS show choir. Let's dive right into baseball. The spring sports season is now in full swing. Center Grove baseball has had a fantastic start this season. They won the county tourney against Franklin, and they are currently unbeaten. Plainfield has also had a fast start, and man, their bats are hot. They scored an average 8.75 in the first 4 games. The Quakers are indeed undefeated. But actually, future me, because when I typed this, it was before the second Whiteland game. Plainfield lost to Whiteland, so they're not undefeated anymore. They beat Highland 10-3. They beat Tri-West 6-4. They beat Danville 7-4, and they played Whiteland on Tuesday. And I was able to be the PA announcer that game. And Grady Broughton hit his first home run to win the game in a run rule. The final score was 12-1. The final score in the second game was 9-6, Whiteland. And huge shout out to Clark Laker. In his first varsity at bat, he was able to hit a home run in his first ever varsity baseball at bat. And that is huge for a lot of reasons. He got called up just that day. And yeah, I was up there doing PA announcing, and then the JV white coach called the other JV coach and said, "Hey, I think you've seen the last of Laker. He just sent one out." And now it's time to talk about the PHS gym changes. Walking into the workouts after spring break, I noticed that the Plainfield Fieldhouse had changed. Apparently during spring break, the construction workers put in new lights. It has been a long time, but Plainfield has new lights in their gyms, and they really needed them. And something more to talk about. I was in the main gym. They are putting in new lights in there. It's gonna look so much better. And I think they're even talking about dimming with the lights, like on the edges of the gym, like the other secondary courts in the main gym, and then the main gym court with the red pipe shield and stuff. I think they're gonna have that area be really bright. If they do, that's gonna be looking so good for PHS volleyball, PHS girls basketball, and of course PHS boys basketball. Time to dive in right into the softball coverage. Like baseball, softball is in full swing as well, and they started before baseball. With freshmen on the team, will be with the freshmen on the team like Kinsey Arnett, Callie Clements, and others, and the great returning players from last season like Sydney Parks, a great pitcher, Cami Arnett, a fantastic pitcher for the Plainfield girls softball, and others from last season. Plainfield softball is once again showing why they will be a sleeper this year. They started out the season outstanding, only losing to Avon. It was a close one. The score was 12-7. So some of the highlights so far at the beginning of the season is destroying Terre Haute South and beating Carmel. And then they just recently had a doubleheader against they recently played Whiteland. They beat Whiteland. They had a great game against Whiteland. Game 1, they won 3-1. And then in game 2, game 2, late in game 2, in the 7th inning, the top of the 7th, they opened it up and they were able to pick up the victory 8-2. Then the next day, on Saturday morning, they played Danville, and the Danville Warriors, they just got done beating the Cathedral Fighting Irish for the softball win. But then Danville did not show up against Plainfield. Plainfield girls, although they were the away team, the Plainfield girls softball team destroys Danville 13-0. In this segment, the IHSA reclassifications. Later on in this segment, it will be kind of like a longer segment, just like the NFL one, because we will be talking to another IHSA expert. And well, before we talk to him, let's just talk to you about the updates. During the basketball season episodes, I did in fact mention that the IHSAA was going to release the new classifications and enrollments. And about a month ago, in a previous episode, I covered the IHSAA. They released the new enrollments for the schools, and now today, I will recover what was released over spring break. One of the last days of my spring break, I was in Orange Beach, by the way. I saw something that got me intrigued. I saw something off of IndyStar on my phone. I was scrolling through my phone on the news thing, and this got me intrigued. The IHSA finally released their new classifications. So I quickly went to my computer and looked them up, and this shocked me. And here we go. Some of the highlights of the new classifications for football include Lafayette Harrison will move up to 6A, while Warsaw and Lafayette Jefferson will move down to 5A. The 4A state champion last season, East Central, will be on the move to 5A. But the most surprising move up is Kokomo, as they will now be in 5A. But the bulk of the movement came in basketball. And I'm not going to be talking about the basketball thing right now. I'm just going to wait to talk about it with our next special guest. Boys basketball has had a ton of movement, and here to join me for talking about this is the one, the only, Jonathan Stevenson.
Yeah, so, the classifications are out. So, what are your thoughts on it?
Interesting, to say the least. It's going to be weird seeing Cathedral and Crispus Attucks completely dominate 3A.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird seeing that. It poses a lot of questions to the environment of Indiana high school basketball. Because the publics are going to dominate 4A unless somebody gets a success factor. It looks like while Cathedral and Crispus Attucks is going to be pushed back into 3A, the school that gets the success factor is going to be Scottsburg, who's going to go to 4A. And I don't think Scottsburg is going to have fun in 4A. They're going to be playing mostly a 32A schedule, and they're going to be getting killed when they get in sectional against much bigger schools. They'll probably be with Franklin. Probably Jeffersonville, actually. Jeffersonville is going to be fucking good next year. It will.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't even think about what sectional Scottsburg what's going to be in.
They're going to be one of Jeffersonville's sacrificial lambs next year.
Yeah. Yeah, but another thing to think about too, which this shocked me, but Cascade got moved up to 3A. Why? I don't know. They're going to get demolished as well.
They're top 175 in enrollment. They're 3A in basketball, even with the new classifications.
They are apparently 178. They are ranked 178th right now, in enrollments.
That probably puts them in 3A because there's more.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they're probably dead last in 3A. They're probably the worst. They're not the worst team in 3A. That's fucking Heron. I don't even know if Heron's still going to be in 3A after this classification, but Cadet basketball wouldn't even win 2A. They probably wouldn't win 1A. They're not. They're an afterthought in 3A. I hate to admit it, but they are.
Yeah. Let me see. So it looks like that Heron did not get moved down, but Crystal House got moved down, to
Crystal House in 2A might be a little scary. I will be honest with that.
Yeah.
Crystal House is very solid against these 3A teams. I mean, if there's like a 2A team like a Brownstown or a Wapahani or a Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian, they're going to stay in 2A, by the way. Blackhawk Christian, well, they might win it, but like Crystal House can really provide like an Indy.
I hate to tell you about what you just said about Blackhawk Christian, but apparently, due to the success factor, both them and Brownstown Central are also in 3A.
Good.
Yeah.
Blackhawk Christian needs to be in fucking 4A.
I mean, their enrollments. Their enrollments aren't good, but I can see why you say that due to the classifications with the success factor.
Blackhawk Christians had a lot of recent success this past few years. They lost their coach and they didn't miss a beat. Like, their coach literally died due to cancer, but they still had Caleb First. They still had all these other guys that really helped contribute to that. They beat Lynn Stockton and Joey Hart in the 2A championship, and they lost barely in overtime to Wapahani. That was a miracle upset. That was in the semi-state this year, but Blackhawk Christian is a perennial dominant team in the Fort Wayne area. They should be in 3 or 4A by 100%.
Yeah. Okay, then that was weird.
Wayne stayed in 4A, or do you think
who?
Wayne High School in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne. Let's see. I think they did actually say like in 4A, because I don't see anything, because I'm scrolling through 3A right now. Yeah. Like they did say in 4A. I don't see them in 3A. So, but
good. I don't know who they gain. I don't know who they lose, but I know they've been a really good team in that area. They've been the best team in the area the past 2 years, and so good.
Yeah. So the top 46 schools that not the top 46. The top 50 schools, due to the enrollment, like in 4A, it was Carmel, Ben Davis, Warren Central, Fishers, North Central, Penn, Avon, HSE, of course, I'm not shocked about that, Franklin Central, Brownsburg, Noblesville, Pike, Elkhart, Crown Point, Lake Central, Center Grove, Lawrence North, Westfield, Carroll, of course, Arsenal Tech, Homestead, Lawrence Central, Southport, Perry. How is Perry big?
They're in a very populous area, is what it is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if they had a freaking school with Southport, it'd probably be 5,000 students. Perry Township is geographically big. If you look on a map, the border between Decatur Township and Perry Township is separated by the White River, and Perry Township gets the most of that instead of on that line. If you saw it on that line, like, the Decatur would be a huge school, but those township boundaries aren't really, like, on those lines.
Yeah.
And how is Perry big? It's just a lot of people, but they don't really produce a lot of football players and basketball players, and it has to come down to the demographic of that school. Melting pot.
Yeah.
Asian and Hispanic students that don't really prioritize football and basketball. They prioritize soccer more. And that's why Perry has a really good soccer team year after year, best in the Mid-State Conference, but they don't really do much in football and basketball.
Thank you, Jonathan, for joining me. And now, for the last time this year, until, of course, next year, until, of course, December, we will go over the Thunder Zone coverage. Next season, Plainfield will play the same teams as last season, and will be back in the Kokomo tourney. Now, to end this zone coverage, it's time to go over the state championship. All 4 state champs got their first ever championship. Fishers won 4A over Ben Davis. And that game was outstanding. And I was in Orange Beach for that too. But yeah, all four state champions, first ever state championship. A huge shout out to them. They they all deserve that, even Fishers. Congratulations to Fishers. But what I have to say about Plainfield being back in the Kokomo tourney next year, that is huge. I did not know if I was gonna be able to go back to the Kokomo like Memorial Gym, but now I do. That gym is outstanding. I will be managing again, and I will of course give you updates. But yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to be back in that gym. Well, the show choir season is over, and I think it's time to highlight what went on, shall we? I mean, yeah, we shall. I mean, I was already going to do it anyway. So, Plainfield, Bells and Bows, and Femmes Fatales, they were honored to go to the state championship. A few weeks ago, the Plainfield Bells and Bows and Femmes Fatales competed in the large school state championship. Femmes was able to come home in fourth. Bells and Bows were expected to lose again and lose to Fishers. During the Fishers performance, however, the mic was turned off during the solo, and that took a huge toll. At the end of the awards, it was announced by 21 points. It was by a landslide. Bells and Bows were awarded the honor of state champions in the show choir. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Red Pride Thundercast. In the next episode, we will go over the baseball, and we will go over baseball and softball again, and we will of course we will cover IHSA football. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And as we end this episode, take a look at these past scores from Plainfield baseball and Plainfield softball.